It is Election Day. Polls and drop boxes in our area are closing in just a few hours, and our team is working nonstop to bring you the very latest. What to expect when the numbers roll in tonight, and what's at stake.
Our winter-like chill is here to stay.
Plus, we are digging deeper into election security. We've got reporters on the ground making sure your vote is counted fairly and accurately after the polls close.
KREM 2 News at 4 begins now.
Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News First at 4. I'm Mark Hanrahan.
And I'm Whitney Ward. Thank you for being here. Right now we are kicking off team coverage of the midterm election.
Let's start with our Amanda Rowley, who is previewing some of the key races that we are tracking here in the Inland Northwest tonight. Amanda?
Yeah, Mark and Whitney, there is a lot on the line for this year's midterm election here in Spokane County and at the federal level. For the first time ever, Spokane County voters are electing 5 county commissioners instead of 3. We also have our sheriff of 16 years is retiring. Plus, 2 of Washington State's federal seats are up for grabs. So let's start in Spokane County. There are 3 highly contested races for county commissioner. They include the newly drawn districts 1, 2, and 5. And that's because these races could result in a Democratic Party win for the first time in decades. Now in District 1, Democratic candidate Chris Jordan is running against Republican Kim Pleas. Now Jordan did well in securing 55% of the primary vote. Now looking at District 2, Democratic candidate Amber Waldriff secured 55% of the primary vote, while her Republican opponent Michael Cathcart got nearly 33%. Now, while Republican incumbent Al French is running for another term as county commissioner in District 5, this is expected to be a really close race. And that's because based on primary election results, Democrat Maggie Yates led with 45% of the vote and French secured only 40%. Now, let's talk about Washington's key federal races. Congresswoman Kathy McMorris Rodgers is seeking a 10th term in the House of Representatives. Her opponent, Democrat Natasha Hill from Spokane's Hilliard, is hoping to unseat her. Looking at Washington's U.S. Senate election, though, it's the most funded race here in the state. Democratic candidate Patty Murray is running for a 6th term, and her opponent, Republican Tiffany Smiley, who has heavily campaigned on the need for a new voice, is hoping to unseat her. Now, finally, Spokane County voters will also elect a new sheriff, and we're keeping an eye on that, right? So we're choosing between John Knowles and Wade Nelson. So expect this election to get pretty exciting tonight. Of course, we'll be tracking all of these races and more right here on KREM. Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
All right, Amanda, thank you very much. And if your mail-in ballot is still sitting around right now, it is not too late to get out and vote. In Washington, ballots are due by 8 p.m. this evening in a drop box. And if you choose to mail it instead, it needs to be postmarked by 8 p.m.
Meantime, in Idaho, all polling locations are open now and they close at 8 p.m. tonight. Both Washington and Idaho do allow same-day voter registration and voting on Election Day. If you have any issues with your ballot or questions, you can contact your county elections office. And the Department of Justice is being proactive when it comes to protecting voters' rights this midterm cycle. It announced it is sending election monitors to 64 election sites in 24 states today. Washington and Idaho are not among the states being watched. The department is monitoring compliance with federal voting rights laws.
Monitors will include personnel from the DOJ's Civil Rights Division and from its U.S. Attorney's offices. It's a practice which traces back to the 1965 Voting Rights Act.
Ahead of today's election, we are taking a look at what voters here in Washington and Idaho care about the most.
KREM 2's Nicole Hernandez is tracking what people here in our area say they're interested in the most.
Tim, so we pulled up Google Trends showing us what big topics people have been searching for in our region. And let's start with Washington here. This map here shows the different Google searches that are most popular in each county. That gray here that we see all over eastern and central Washington, that means wages. But both Lincoln and Ferry County, they're interested in and their residents are Googling Social Security the most. This next chart here lists the top political topics people have been searching in the whole state for the past few days. You can see here specifically specifically in Washington state, we have wages sticking with number 1 consistently, healthcare sticking at number 2 consistently, just with one drop down, and unemployment taking a big rise in the past few hours or so. So let's take a look at Idaho now. Kootenai County, Latah County, and Nez Perce counties, they're all interested in wages, similar to Washington, but the other counties in the Panhandle, they're all Google searching Social Security more. And looking at the top searches breakdown for the state of Idaho specifically, you can see wages sticking in that number 1 spot pretty consistently over the past 2 days, except for in the past few hours, wages has dropped down to number 2. Unemployment has spiked over the past day or so, taking that number 1 spot most recently. Now, we're also seeing that people are asking about how and where they can vote today. So if you would like more info on that and the people and issues that'll be on your ballot, you can text the word vote to 509-448-2000. We'll send you our exclusive KREM 2 election guide. In the newsroom, Nicole Hernandez, KREM 2 News.
And all day today, candidates have been making their final push to win over voters. No matter your politics, Election Day can cause some anxiety.
Professor James Long teaches at the University of Washington. He teaches democracy all around the world and says he has watched as political division has increased in the U.S., people's anxiety has also increased.
I never thought I would be really worried about electoral integrity in the United States in the way that I am in other countries, and now I am. That being said, the way we actually cast and count ballots, if it's done legally, is really, really secure.
With so many close races, Long's advice is to have patience. It could take days to call some of the races.
And elections officials all across the country will be working through the night to make sure that every vote is counted.
While a lot of areas will see results immediately, it could take days for other areas. Our Casey Decker from our National Verify team has the fast facts on why that is.
It's called Election Day, not Election Week. So how come we don't get some results for days? It's because elections are run state by state, county by county. Some offices might have more staff or counting machines or fewer ballots. They also have different rules, like if mail-in ballots arrive early, some states count them in advance. Some start the morning of Election Day and others wait until the polls close. States also have different deadlines for when exactly mail-in ballots are due and when the results have to be finalized. So it's normal if some results take longer. That's how those states assure every vote is counted.
So make sure to stick around here in the second half hour of KREM 2 News at 4. We will continue to bring you team coverage of the 2022 midterm elections.
Yeah, later in the broadcast, we'll be diving into some of Idaho's top races and what issues are most important to voters on today's ballots. In the meantime, let's take a quick turn and talk weather. Well, the sun made a comeback today, and it was nice enough to at least improve the driving conditions across the region today.
Yes, it was. We want to get straight to our chief meteorologist, Jeremy Legoo, for more on what we can expect tonight once it starts to get colder again.
Yeah, you know, Whitney and Mark, it's one of those ones where if there is a little bit of moisture on the road, it's likely going to refreeze. Most places kind of drying out, but watch this. Temperatures sit right at freezing right now. We did climb up to about 33 degrees, but not for long. That did help. You had the sun, you had the friction from tires, made a bit of improvement. But once again, if you have wet roads or packed snow or ice that didn't melt, it is going to stay slick. Right now, temperatures pretty close to freezing across the region. You're down to or up to 41 down in Pullman, 30 in Coeur d'Alene, 32 in Sandpoint. Not really much in the way of cloud cover across the region, and it kind of stays that way. Storm dives to the south, and then we catch a break thereafter, but this is what helps pull in some of that cold Arctic air. So by tomorrow morning, back down in the teens. This time it's the mid-teens, likely going to be the coldest morning we've seen thus far. You factor in that wind chill, feels like it's down in the single digits yet again. Next few days, we stay quite chilly. Not until the weekend do we see a warm up, but even then, temps remain well below normal.
All right, Jeremy, thank you.